and unfortunately decided to cancel it. Just so happens the only day of the week that it looks like it's going to be really bad weather and rain all day. So we're looking to see if we can get that rescheduled before the end of the semester. And then the last item is in collaboration with OSU PD and CPD, we are doing a safety walk on Wednesday, November 29th, 3:30 to 5:30. And that safety walk is where we go door to door. We'll have student life volunteers as well. And we go door to door, wishing students a great upcoming break and holiday if they celebrate. And we'll also share with them tips on securing their homes in preparation for that winter break as well.
Michelle, could you say the date again, please?
Yes, that will be on November 29th, 3:30 to 5:30.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. David Huey? Okay. I know confused here. Mr. Mark Constantine. I think I tried to him. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. So I go ahead and just kind of start off because I know this is probably fresh in everyone's minds with the incident that happened on the 13th. There was a shooting that occurred. It was reported at 1444 North High Street. There was actually two people that were shot out of it. Details are kind of sketchy, but there was an individual that was in a car that was driving eastbound that was struck by a round that we made contact with. There was also a young lady that had just celebrated her 24th birthday. She was walking home. She and her ex-boyfriend were walking home from Starbucks, and she was right over there about 1444 North High Street, kind of towards the back area. And she was struck by a round in her leg. Thankfully, it was, not serious, but still enough. She went to the hospital. But we kind of found out that there was several shots that occurred over there at 40 West 8th Avenue. So the distance is just, I'm just thankful again that she's okay. But, the fact that she was struck by one of those rounds, pistol rounds, is pretty amazing. But in any event, we tried to get some more details from the occupants of the vehicle. They weren't very cooperative with law enforcement, unfortunately. So we didn't, we're pretty sure that they know who did it, but they weren't very forthcoming, and one actually admitted to buying some weed, but again, we don't have any more details. So the investigation is still active, and we certainly encourage, and I've been mentioning this to people I talk to, like if you have Ring doorbell video and you live over on like the 40 numbers of West 8th Avenue, to please take a look at your video that was on the 13th. That was about 3:51 in the afternoon. So I've already seen a couple videos. You can hear the shots from the one, but like I said, we're still actively investigating. Detective Andy Howe is handling that case. There was another incident that I want to bring everybody's attention. It was a robbery that occurred. That was on, I believe, it's Saturday, the 11th, at 2:11 p.m. And I'll just kind of read the notes here, but officers responded to a robbery at gunpoint at 288 East 16th Avenue. The victim advised there were three males with guns that took his phone, wallet, and keys. The victim provided the victim stated the suspects left in a blue Kia Sportage, gave the tag information. There were some officers that located the vehicle in the area of Oakland Park Avenue and Mays Road. A short pursuit ensued, and the vehicle was able to elude officers at that time. But later on that evening, about 6:13 p.m., officers located the vehicle up at Easton Way and Easton Square Place. They did initiate another pursuit of the vehicle, and with the assistance of our chopper, we were able to apprehend 5 different suspects out of it, and there were 2 guns that were also recovered. So that's obviously good. I don't know if the victim was able to identify there was 2 suspects apparently in the case that pointed guns at him. I think one of them actually struck him in the face with a gun. But in any event, we got the people that were in the car. So hopefully our detectives get some success in that investigation. The only other thing I was going to mention is, 2 things. we've had some acts of anti-Semitism here in the University District. I don't know if you guys heard about the Hillel Center. I know Sarge over there watched the video, but it's something that we're keeping a close eye on. We've actually had, I think the governor actually ordered the Ohio State Highway Patrol to provide some extra patrols in the area. There were 2 individuals that were assaulted out of another, that's a separate incident that we believe had a hate crime element to it. I don't want to read because they used some racial slurs in there, but basically they were attacked because they were of Jewish faith. So, but anyway, we are looking into that case as well. The only other thing I was going to mention is, so we had Miss Emily Foster's memorial service this past Sunday. I got an email from Professor KB Jones with OSU. She was concerned about the addresses over there on Indianola causing some unnecessary loud noise that evening, especially when we had the Michigan State game going on. It was an evening game. So I took it upon myself to go over there and talk to the 2 addresses that she was, concerned about, 1972 and 1980 Indianola. I believe 1972 is an overflow for a fraternity, and I'm already going to look into this because basically I talked to both of the houses and I said, hey, this is the reason why we're asking for this. We've got, family and friends of Miss Emily Foster coming in from out of town. They're having her memorial service the next day. Is there any way you can keep it down? I know we got a football game going on, but let's try to be respectful. I thought I had a productive conversation, but apparently I didn't. 1972 was carrying on all night. So I'm already going to be looking into that one, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. So,
I didn't see that.
yep.
I don't think Harrison's here. Oh. I don't know how you sneak in.
I try to just.
Looking for you and think I would see you. You're right. Good to
Good
see
evening,
you.
everybody. I'm Harrison Poku, liaison to City Council. A few highlights before I start. I want to say hello to our intern in the community engagement, Ms. Megan McNally. So hello to her.
And you can take that microphone out of there.
Got you. Perfect. All right. So a few highlights from City Council. Council President Rob Dorrance has sponsored a funding for low-income water and sewer discount program with ARPA dollars. So if you have any questions regarding that, reach out to his team. And then Councilmember Nick Bengston is expanding support for the small business through Accessory Columbus. So if you have any small businesses that needs more extension, reach out to his office. And then lastly, Councilmember Shayla Favors is also extending the contract for American Dream Down Payment Initiative. A few dates to pay attention to that we have coming up. Tomorrow,
Excuse me, Harrison, could you slow down a little?
I'm sorry.
I'm not Katie. I'm trying to. Woo. Thank you. I got Langston's where he's offering small business help. That's
Yes.
where I left off. Thank you, sorry.
And then Councilmember Shayla Favors
Okay.
is extending contract for American Dream Down Payment Initiative. And a few dates to pay attention to is tomorrow at 5 p.m. We'll be having our utility rate adjustment public hearing, and it will be happening at City Hall, City Chambers at 5 p.m. tomorrow, November 16th. So if you're free, please feel free to come. And then November 20th at 2 p.m., we'll be having our housing agenda updates public hearing.
Copy of your notes.
I will send it to you. And that will also be happening at City Chambers. So both hearings will be happening at City Chambers, November 16th and November 20th. The first one is at 5 p.m. and the second one is at 2 p.m. And I will send out an email so that you'll have all this paper. So thank you very much.
Yeah, Councilman.
Hi, Matt Hanson, Campus Partners, and Ohio State Planning, Architecture, and Real Estate. I don't have any new tenant updates for any of our properties, but I just wanted to promote an event that we're sponsoring that's going on at the Gateway Film Center. There'll be a documentary featuring Derek Russell, who was a former Short North Posse gang member that dedicated his life to helping youth in the Linden and Wenlow Park neighborhoods. There's going to be a documentary at the Gateway Film Center tomorrow, Thursday at 7:30. And then another showing Sunday at 4 p.m. So please go. Great neighborhood event. And we'll also hear a Q&A session from Derek afterwards.
David, just as you're sitting down, if you would like to report out anything on your authors.
Sure.
David Huey with the City of Columbus
Could you
Department.
please use the mic? I can check on the speaker. So,
And I'm not sure, David, everybody knows who you are, so you may want to do it just a little bit.
Sure.
Who you represent. Thank you.
David Huey, City of Columbus Department of Neighborhoods. I oversee,
Yeah, be real close to it.
I oversee the neighborhood liaison program for the city, who provides technical assistance and guidance to our 21 area commissions. I am here tonight because we have lost our liaison to a different department for the north side, so we'll be working to hire somebody new. Until such time, I'll be your primary point of contact. Catherine Call, as you all are familiar with, will help me with University in Clintonville. So she's available also for any of your issues. I just have a few things tonight. We have our final training, area commission training of the year on November the 29th. This is limited to 25 people. It's with our planning division. It's a really good training in the computer lab at the Coleman Center. I encourage, we're encouraging 1 or 2 people from each commission to RSVP. You can do that with me tonight if you're interested. It's, I believe it's 6 o'clock on the 29th. We have about 12 people signed up, so there's still space available if you're interested. What they're going to teach you there is the tools that the planning division uses when they review zoning applications, and it's kind of the closest review to what area commissions should be looking at. So I took the training. I was their guinea pig. I took their training, and I learned quite a bit. And I've got 28 years with the city, so it's a really valuable training if you have time and you're interested. I'm supposed to remind you and anybody in the audience, the zoning rewrite for the city of Columbus is nearing the end of their survey. You can Google Zoning Columbus survey, and we're still looking for. University actually, we've got quite a few respondents, a couple hundred from the university area. Our goal was 100 from each commission area. But if you have not done that, please do. There may be one more webinar to sort of go over the results of the survey before they get into the second phase of the zoning rewrite, which will be in the first quarter of next year. I think they're going to have some workshops, maps of the corridors. North High Street would be what you guys would be interested in. The proposed zoning for the major corridors, and there'll of course be a public comment on that too. The last thing I have is we have our department sponsors the Neighborhood Best Practices Conference every year. It's going to be at Columbus State this year. It's December the 2nd. You should have something from us about the RSVP. It's free. Keynote speaker is Dr. Mashika Roberts, which will be first on the agenda. And then we have, I think it's 3 or 4 hours. We have several workshops, and you can kind of choose which workshops you'd like to go to. So encourage you to attend that as well.
David, could you say the date of that one more time, please? The date of the.
December the 2nd. I believe that's a Saturday.
Thank you.
David, thank you. Can you say, you'd be the last speaker today, but we usually have questions from commissioners for all the ones that preceded you, and there may be a question for you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Michael, why don't we start on your end?
Oh, my.
And
Okay.
please better remember, these are questions, not discussions.
I'm fine. Nothing.
I'm sorry, did I shut you down by saying that?
Yeah, no, I thought you meant reports or something else, but no, I don't have any questions. I don't know.
Jen, management, anything?
I had one from Matt. He said that there were 2 viewings for the documentary. I was also taking notes to help out Eric a little bit. The second one was Saturday?
Sunday.
Tomorrow, Sunday.
Sunday at 4:30.
Oh, wait a minute. I needed that.
I got you, Eric.
Sunday at 4:30.
Ticket sales
Got it.
for tomorrow's showing will go towards the Wyland Park Wolverine. Wildcats, sorry.
I was here right We may have similar colors, but we're not those guys.
Jen, anything else?
No.
No, Steve? No. You don't want to put a plug in one?
I will not be at that meeting tomorrow, that event, although I wish I could.
It's working on my laptop.
Will be there.
I could
I do have a
not
website
recognize it.
for our
My computer
seasons here.
recognizes it.
And these guys here that I'm wearing out,
So
we
I just
finished number
use
4
those.
in our season this year, so
I mean,
we
it works,
we
but
did very well.
it's not
We
fast.
showed them that we can play football.
I didn't realize that's what the deal was, because I didn't know there was an app. So I thought that was the.
I mean, we could still try it, it would just like keeps like already.
I just want to make we folks aware of something that picked up.
Like.
I want to compliment the Lantern staff on the articles that appeared, but there's reference to data that we obtained from, it's probably from the 2020 census tracts. What we discovered in 2020 was there were a major portion of the district was not turning in the census data. So our statistics were just totally inaccurate. The population of the district, the total district is right around
Okay.
60,000.
Is that a recording? That's the trash can.
It's reported on the 2020 census data that it's 35,000. So I just want to put that information out there. For those that called,
Okay.
except for the folks that didn't
I
turn in
forgot
their
about the camera. Oh, no, it's
census,
not the camera, it's the
application.
Wi-Fi.
So be aware of that.
Because they don't want you to use the camera.
Yeah, I have,
For your, was it 1972 Indian Avenue, is that what you had a problem with? You're
So it
probably
could be
aware
the
of this,
camera, it
but,
could be, we
you
could
can
get a
work
new
with the Hobson
camera.
University disciplinary action, many of them are Ohio State students,
Um,
and they got out of hand on you. OSU stepped in and really
Okay,
put the teeth
something
into it.
simple.
Willie Young was the one who used to
I think
handle
I'm
that, I don't know
simple,
who
you can
handles it
get.
anymore. You should definitely look into that,
Okay.
I would highly recommend using it too.
I'll figure something out.
Yeah, I would like to piggyback on that. Rachel, is that your,
Rochelle,
Rachel?
Yeah, we're having to work, that would be our colleagues in student conduct. We're having to work with them. I think the challenge is we would need a student name to share with them, but if we have a student name, we can definitely.
Yeah, because I mean,
With it, see, I played around with it
that's-
all, and it worked.
the city of
I was
Columbus,
like-
we really have to, unless the university has really young kids stepped up and hammered the students for eroding the quality of life of people who are living in the neighborhoods. So maybe you two can trade cards.
Yeah, we're very, I will definitely.
Great. I just want to say, thank you for that nice dinner for the commissioners downtown. It was fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for attending. We had 80 commissioners sign up. We're talking about the mayor's leadership dinner, which he gives a preview of the budget before he announces it
I wonder what.
to the public. And we had
Just
about
to- I
50
just need a
commissioners
plug and play.
show up. So really good attendance.
Okay.
Before I get to Brian.
Yeah, it's pretty
I
simple.
think you wanted to.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify with Seth and with Rochelle and with Officer
Yeah.
Humphrey. We would have to have committed a violation
Maybe I'll
of student
try
code
it
of
anyway.
conduct or student conduct to pursue anything. So if there is no violation, there's not much that they'll be able to do.
I'll continue the research. Thank you, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eric?
We're just typing.
Okay, questions? All right, thank you. David, I know that when the email came out about this last training, it was recommended that people who are perhaps new to commissions might want to take that, so that they have a better sense of the city and planning and things. But I'm also thinking that it's also going to be a good refresher for anybody who's on this commission, right, to be able to attend that. I don't know if anyone that RSVP for split left in on it, but.
We do not have any RSVPs from the university. It's kind of, I would say, yes, new commissioners would benefit from it, but really like zoning chairs and chairs, it's sort of a higher level training on the tools that the planning division uses when they're reviewing, and they take you through the tools that they use, and you actually review live zoning variances. And fill out a sheet of how you make decisions on whether this is good for your neighborhood or not. So,
Yeah, and I know that Zach has done a training and other people on zoning have. Would it be also valuable for somebody, since we're redoing sort of the website and whatnot, for that end to be more aware of the procedure, or is it sort of more involved with the zoning committee and the forms that need to be filled out, because we have done those workshops before?
it's different than the zoning training. So building and zoning services are the folks that send you the applications. Every division in the city reviews the zoning applications and makes recommendations. The planning division is within the Department of Development. And again, they look through a lens that's very similar to what area commissions should be looking at. A lot of times I think commissions get outside of the scope of what they should be looking at as far as land use. It comes up all the time, what about traffic? What about utilities? Our traffic engineers are going to handle that part of it. You guys are not traffic engineers. They decide whether there's going to be a turn lane or there's going to be an additional stoplight. So commissions should not sort of look through that lens. They should be looking at the land use and does it make sense? Does it make sense for your neighborhood? And that's sort of the way the planning division does it.
No, thank you. So commissioners, if you want to participate with that, why don't you check your calendars and get back with me, and I'll communicate that to the city, and I'll email you about that.
Yeah, you got a few more weeks, so. yeah.
I know things are getting a hectic schedule, things are starting to cram up, so I understand that. We'll try our best. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Sit. 29. Yeah, 29.
Can I just say that I did attend a training, and the mapping service, the ArcGIS-based mapping tool is amazing. It is really cool. I mean, and if you're somebody who likes to just dig deep, and if you're kind of tired of the Franklin County Auditor's site and what it can offer, this goes 20 layers deeper, and it's really neat how you can, especially if you're looking at properties that have these things coming up, you can look at past variance requests, you can look at, again, land use specifications, you can look at past zoning changes, all that stuff. It's a really neat tool. I just wish we had more time to really know how to use it.
Yeah, it's a 2 hour training, and it's not enough time. But I think that commissioners don't realize how much information is out there. And we're trying to get commissions to be prepared for the zoning applications so they don't take 3 or 4 months, especially with our multi-unit development projects. It's the mayor has asked us to, and I'm part of this process, to cut in half the time it takes for multi-unit zonings to go through. As you all know, we need to build about 12,000 units a year in Columbus to keep pace with the growth. And currently we're building about 7,000 or 8,000. So that's the housing crisis in Columbus right now. So we really need to, we expect another 1 million people by 2040, 750,000 by 2040.
Thank you. So commissioners, let me know, one, I sensed that you might be thinking about that looking. Yeah. I know that's a busy time for you though too, but just let me know. So thank you for all of you who gave reports. And we want to move into zoning because we are 2 minutes ahead of schedule. There's a real moment.
Oh my God.
And go through the procedures for zoning cases.
Okay, first of all, we have 2 cases that are listed on your agenda. We can allow 3 speakers for and 3 speakers against for each case. So if you're here to speak on either case for or against, I'll need a speaker slip. I have 1, so there's still 11 available. The first case tonight would be 142 and 1462 and 1466 Hamlet Street. Applicants Dakota Strickland, and it's a request to build 2 carriage houses in the rear of the lot on the alley, and a total of 10 variances which are listed on the agenda. So,
Is that our cue to come
yeah,
up?
you have 7 minutes to,
So basically,
did you want to pass out?
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We won't take that off for 7 minutes.
We'll start the clock right after.
All right, so these are photos. I don't know who I'm handing these to. Yeah. These are photos of the properties. I'm sorry. Okay. Anybody else?
Mr. Cummings, correct?
Right, my name's Barry Cummings, I didn't introduce myself. I'm a electrical engineer, residential designer. I've had over 150 properties that got approved with the city of Columbus. I do everything from 3 and below as far as units are concerned. I don't do commercial. So first photo that you see is basically 1466 and 1462 frontal view. The second photo is just another skewed view of that. The third photo is standing south, looking north up Hamlet, or looking southward on Hamlet. And I know I'm going kind of fast, so if you're not with me, let me know. The fourth photo is the north side of 1466. And then the little tape measure that you see is the distance between the fence line and the edge of the property, edge of the house. The next photo is the southmost 1462 Hamlet. The next photo after that is, again, a tape stretched between the house and the fence line of the southmost property. The next photo is the rear, how it looks presently. These photos are about a month old. The next photo is the distance of that CMU wall to the alley, to the edge of the alley, not the center of the alley, but to the edge of the alley, to the westmost side of the alley. The next photo is the gap between the 1462 and the neighbor to the south. The next photo is just another alley shot. I don't know why I did that. Oh, well, I do know. There's steps that basically split the property and exit out into the backyard of the two properties. And then the last photo is the northmost fence line, 1466's fence line. Any questions, or did I go too fast? Or so I have here what the statement of hardship is and the variances are. I did make some edits. What's on the agenda, especially statement for the zoning code. Let me hand these out.
You can just get them here and I'll pass
Yep,
them.
there you go. So they're 1462 and 1466. They're basically cookie cutter.
Were you done?
I was waiting for the
Oh, okay.
page pass. So does the clock stop
Yeah, I just did.
after a first down?
So it was the 7 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not over yet.
So
Oh, you stopped, okay.
Yeah, it's pause. Pause. Ready, start again?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, 3 minutes and 55 seconds.
oh my gosh, I feel pressured. The variance request, if you'll flip to that page that we spent a lot of time on, was the parking variance. So I met with the City of Columbus zoning department, and they kind of reworded, it's reference 3312.49. It's at the bottom of the page on variance request. So one of the questions that we had before was were there enough parking spaces for the existing home as well as the accessory dwelling unit in the back. The zoning department's requirement is that we create 2 new parking spaces, which because of the design of the accessory dwelling unit, there's 2 parking spaces in the garage, and that's all they required. I have I actually have an email from Cindy Krebs from the zoning department, and she kind of spelled that out. I think it's the last page on the handout. Next to the last page on the handout. And then the very last 2 pages illustrate just the code. Just a couple pages out of the code book. How much more time I have?
2 minutes, 20 seconds.
All right, so these are, I only have 10 of these. These are the illustration by site map of how the 2 properties, would land, how the 2 accessory dwelling units would land on the property. I just combined them. They're 2 separate projects. They're 2 separate projects, but I just combined them just so that we weren't flipping back and forth between pages. So you got 1466 and 1462 illustrated there. I did do a check on the property lines as well as where the current house sets and all the requirements for the side yard and the calculations are actually on the first page. All right, so I know we're going to run into time, but this is actually what the units look like. If you look at the second and third pages, you'll see the layouts of the accessory dwelling units. They are mirror image of each other. I think it was Mr. Hanson that made a comment on the requirement for housing. And these actually would, the concept would be contributing to the density that we're going to experience over the next 20 years. I talked to the zoning department about it. They're actually revisiting the code for garages. The maximum height on the garage is 15 feet. She gave me a preliminary approval to be at 35 feet, which we're not. We're at, I believe, 24 feet. I forget. So I'll take questions. I don't know where to go from here.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, time's up. So at this point, the report, zoning report is, we heard the case over 4 different meetings. The first 3 meetings were a lot of immediate neighbors, and a lot of them were not in support. Things got heated at a couple of the meetings. So I find it, that should be, I find that should be pointed out. The actual vote, though, it did pass, I believe 5-1. So it was approved by zoning.
So if I might just remind commissioners that questions to the applicant are really directed to the chair of zoning, and that he will field questions or try to get to everybody.
Were there any more speaker slips or anyone that didn't fill out a slip that would like to speak pro or con? All right. We have one speaker slip, Laura Bidlaw, a Wyland Park resident, and is in favor.
Hi, everybody.
Could you spell your name, please?
Yeah, BIDWA.
Sorry, I'm still fighting the word process.
We have an intern secretary.
Yes, and he's sad, doing a sad job. Laura, last name, please.
Yeah, it's Bidwa, BIDWA.
Thank you so much.
Um,
You have to speak real close.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah, okay, there we go.
It's easier to hold.
I live about a block and a half from this project. I haven't seen any of the support materials for it, so I really can't speak to any of the details that I'm sure are reflected in all these various requests. It's a significant series of requests. The reason I wanted to come and talk to the whole commission is that it's been a little while since I've been involved in any of the discussions related to accessory dwelling units in Wyland Park, but I did spend about 10 years looking at a lot of projects like this with the Civic Association, when the Civic Association was more active. And what I want to share with the commissioners today is that what we saw over that period is that there was general support in the neighborhood for this kind of gentle density, as people call it, to be added on top of garages in the neighborhood. I do have to throw in quickly that notwithstanding, this project has looked like vernacular shit since the moment they started. They were two attractive old houses, and it certainly isn't a project that any neighbor would walk by and think this is a landowner who cares about this neighborhood or these properties. However, I am here to say that generally I've heard people in the neighborhood support these projects, and I did hear a lot of neighbors who weren't happy with this one because they were concerned about its use as Airbnb, and they were concerned about parking in the neighborhood. And so I wanted to share with the commission that I was also involved when parking permits were first instituted in the short north, which overlaps into the southern part of Wineland Park. So there's been permanent parking in Wineland Park for about 5 or 6 years now in parts of the neighborhood, and I would urge the commission, if they hear from more neighbors with concerns related to parking, that we could consider extending parking into the neighborhood. Wineland Park was actually instrumental in making it so that there were income-related reductions available in the fees for parking permits in the neighborhood, because we knew a lot of people in the neighborhood would have a hard time paying for a lot of parking. So I just wanted to bring that up, and also the notion of if the city could be more active with limiting Airbnbs within the city or understanding more what their effects are in neighborhoods, that would also be much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else speak pro or con? Last chance. Okay, with that, we'll go to commission discussion, and we'll start with you, Michael.
Oh, sure. I was hoping more residents would be here to speak, because I've heard a lot of them were upset. And I heard about the anger expressed at the meeting or meetings. It's only one. It sounds like it's only one. There are 1-bedroom units, and there's one in each garage. So it doesn't seem like that big a deal. Yeah, they'll probably be used for Airbnb, but I don't know. It seems like a small project, and I was curious why it upset all the neighbors, or some neighbors, I guess. But I guess I'm leaning in favor of it.
Yeah, my question was the same, Seth. If you could do your best to summarize the concerns of the neighbors.
That's good.
Yeah. If you could just do your best to summarize the concerns of the neighbors.
It was basically, they thought it was too narrow an alley, too dense, overlooking other yards. It was there were a lot of neighbors that had the same concerns. But yeah, just thought it was way too much for that alley. Adjoining property owner had the same concerns. I think he has 3 units, and he was very concerned. And yeah, I think everyone, I'd say we probably had 10 to 12 neighbors over the course of that were right around there, thinking it was too much.
Thanks.
I had the same questions that we just summarized it, so.
Have anything?
I mean, not really questions. I guess just like I'm not seeing why it would cause consternation, but I do not live next to it, so I am going to be sympathetic with the people who will be directly impacted by this. So I guess that's more just a statement. I'm not sure where it's right now.
Steve?
Yeah, I have the same concerns. I'm kind of wondering if the neighbors knew that they were signing up tonight, correct?
Yes.
So I think we need to consider
Well, they did show up 3 times. It was light the 4th time, and I think they were
The notification included this meeting as well.
Yeah, which would have been the 5th time. So I think that probably had some, yeah, sort of wore them down maybe.
I just have a few concerns. One being, is it possible that they will be used for Airbnbs? The parking structure around the community, especially up and down Hamlet, is already hard enough to commute. The alley is a bit narrow for that kind of construction between the location where it's at, and I believe that's between 8th and 9th Avenue. So, those are just my concerns about it. I'm not saying I'm against the idea, because I do like it. It's just, there's a lot of concerns for me when it comes to the frequent uses of Airbnbs and how much we are almost packed in like sardines when you're trying to commute throughout the neighborhood.
And let me just point out to the applicant, this is different than zoning meetings. So if you could keep track of all the questions being asked, then you'll have a period of time. I should have let you know earlier, but the questions that have been asked, you have a time to answer those. So if you just want to jot those down. Dave, did you have anything?
Nope.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm supportive of accessory dwelling units, and I hope that the zoning code revision includes accessory dwelling units by right, so that we don't have to have variances for those in the future. As Mr. Hui pointed out, we need 12,000 units per year to build 12,000 units per year to keep up, and we're building around 8,000. So while 2 additional dwelling units doesn't make a huge impact, just the idea that these will help offset some of that and increase density in a way, like Laura mentioned, gentle density, I think is important to embrace those concepts throughout our area. So I'm supportive.
I just kind of want to remind commissioners, because I was at the zoning meetings also, that I think initially there was so much discussion about the potential of Airbnb, and the zoning committee tried very hard to make sure that everyone knew that the use of it was not necessarily germane to where the argument was going to be, because it was not always specified that that's what it would be. An accessory dwelling unit could be for another family member, it could be a student who's attending Ohio State, it could be used in a number of ways. And that we as a commission have actually been in support of the NEAC proposal that's regulating Airbnbs, and we all know that the Airbnb industry is a little bit toilet these days in many urban areas. So I think the city is going to make those decisions as they're coming up with the new zoning code. So I'm not quite so sure that the Airbnb objection is as valid right now as it was in the very beginning. And we did hear from a resident in the area who lives very near it, who said that there's generally on-street parking available because there are each of the people who are the neighbors presumably do have a place to park. So they may or may not be using the on-street parking. I don't know if that's muddy the waters for you or not, but I think that kind of understanding how four meetings have been evolving might be helpful.
My question is actually one of clarification, and hopefully there's benefit those who haven't heard this case before. Would it be possible for you to quite simply clarify the number of rental units there will be if it is built as proposed with the existing houses and the 2 carriage houses, and what is the rental plan for that in terms of the kind of rental market you're going after for that? It's our understanding that all the units on the property will be rented. So just, I think everyone would benefit from just a simple statement of clarification of numbers of units and how you propose to rent them.
Scott?
I have no questions.
Yeah, first of all, you said that about almost maybe a dozen residents came out against this project over a period of 3 sessions. I want to remind commissioners that our committees is where input is given by residents, not here at the full commission typically. But where that type of information is discussed should be happening in committee. And for those people not to show up here is not so detrimental as if they showed up in committee and made complaints. So if all people showed up there, that, in my opinion, has more weight than if no one showed up here, because that's where the work is done. I see that we're trying to go from 3 foot on the side yard down to 2 foot. I want to remind people that this is not, that's definitely not handicap code, not fire code. 2 feet is literally from one side of my shoulder to the other. If you're trying to ask for 2 feet side yard, you mean you can't get a fireman down to the side yard, especially if there's a obstruction like a fence. And then I want to make also sure that the garage will actually be used for parking only and not for living space anytime in the future or in the present. I think it was mentioned that that the garage will be parking for vehicles.
Yeah, my concern is the ADUs can at any time be used as an Airbnb. There's no teeth or no stipulations, and it's, to me, the amount of immediate neighbors that were there felt strongly that it shouldn't be there on their block. As far as filling the numbers for the city, I mean, if it's going to erode the quality of life of the people who are already there and invested, I don't know how much, another 750,000 people that we have to house them. Whether we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. If it's putting mixed uses on every residential block, I'd be way against it. So to me, that's not viable.
I was at all the meetings for this, and I did not hear any groundswell of opposition against ADUs on this property. I heard a lot of questions, and most of the questions, there were a number about parking that I think were fully addressed. There were some other questions about whether they would be Airbnbs, which is not a zoning, which is not part of the discussion. Some of the comments, in particular, one was had nothing to do with the project, and it was somebody who showed up to cast insults at the developer, and this was somebody who's totally out of order. We did have a number of people who spoke very strongly in favor of this project, because there's a long history in Vineland Park of supporting exactly these kinds of projects. And so I am wholeheartedly in favor of this.
I have a couple issues. First of all, I'm personally not in favor of accessory units, especially when they're going up on top of garages, which I think kind of outdoes the whole height issue and of having shadows fall on your yard and people setting up on balconies looking over into your backyard. But one thing I want to disagree with Doreen and some of the other people about is that it's not pertinent to worry about the Airbnb, because obviously we're given a hardship statement. And the hardship statement leads you to believe that this is a private house where people were living in it. It says, how this is here. The intention is to use this as a guest house for out-of-town guests. There is an existing 2-story single-family home on the property. Well, if that is a single-family home, both of them are single-family homes, whether they're rented or owned, and they're talking about only using these garages for out-of-town guests, which, is kind of open. It doesn't say they're going to be rental units. It says they're going to be used as for out-of-town guests, and that's their hardship statement. So if we're not supposed to consider the hardship statement, I think that needs to be part of the whole planning process here.
Eric?
No comment.
To me, the Airbnb issue is kind of a non-issue because I would rather have new structures built being used as Airbnbs rather than having houses bought up to then be used as short-term rentals. So to me, that doesn't really matter. And just another comment on the parking. If the city does grow at the rate that we think it's going to grow, it's not physically possible to accommodate parking for that many people with the current requirements. And the city's going to have to figure that out in a different way, probably by giving us better transportation options. So again, to me, that's kind of not exactly a non-issue, but I don't want to weight it too much because at some point we would just have to say we can't build anything else because we can't fit all the cars.
All right, that's the first round. We're gonna go around again. Michael, did you say?
Yeah, just two quick things. First of all, I did, when I drove by this place, I guess the thing that struck me most was how horrible the front yards are. There's construction waste, there's garbage, there's, if they really cared about the neighborhood, they would clean it up. And number two, they will be able to use these dwelling units as Airbnbs, period. You should consider them to be Airbnbs. I mean, they can be, he says he's not going to, they don't need to, but according to the city, they can be used as Airbnbs. They might not be, but they can be.
Kevin?
I don't have any comments. I think I'm supportive of it.
Demetrius, do you have any comments? Benjamin?
No, I don't have any comments.
Okay. Steve? Nothing. Alon?
Safety is the issue with me. I'm saying it louder than you. Safety. I mean, if he does have reserved the right to use those as Airbnbs, that's fine. But I think of the nuisance that some of those Airbnbs bring. Also, still the parking issue. The alley is a bit narrow, and whether or not this would be something that shouldn't have warranted like a fire safety, like one house catches on fire, how close these homes are built, that can spread or at least cause one other property damage. So those are just my concerns. I'm in favor of the new designs. I like to see new things built in the community. It's just, is it reasonable? And if there's already community pushback, like, is it really necessary? Like, other than that, I guess again, I'm for it. I want to see new developments. I like to see new things in the neighborhood. It's just, is it reasonable?
Okay, David? Nope, nothing. Jeremy, anything to add?
I think the questions that are out there are ones I have.
Okay. Tim?
Only to repeat again, please clarify the number of rental units that are going to be involved in the final project if built as planned.
Scott?
I'm just gonna finish off what I started, and that was, as far as the Airbnbs are concerned, in the city of Columbus, Airbnbs are not regulated properly. It's pretty shoddy in how our city regulates Airbnbs compared to other municipalities across the country. And when people say there's a housing shortage, I call BS on that too. We have all these high rises that were built in the last half dozen years, the one right across the street here, the one down Lane Avenue. I know the one across here, it sits half empty, where they said there was gonna be rentals. It sits half empty, and they have 170 Airbnbs sitting over here, right across the street here. So when we have a housing crisis, then why aren't we trying to get these properties back to rental instead of being Airbnbs? So, you know, the hardship saying that we need more housing because we have a housing shortage, well, you know, let's let's finally fill the apartments that were approved by the commission instead of continuing trying to add more housing that will probably also turn to Airbnbs.
One of the speakers against the project owned the rentals either beside or across the street, said his during construction of the two houses, his fence got hit and broken, and I think his garage door. And he tried to get a hold of the applicant, never could get a hold of him, never returned his call. I was just curious as if since they were both in the same room at that same night, if reparations were made on that. And he also expressed a lot of trash from the construction were being put into the city trash dumpsters, which isn't a concern. Just wanted to point that out. Brian?
The thing with 2 rental homes and each with 1 rental unit in behind above the garages. And some of those in the past have been Airbnbs, and but they are intended to be, the applicant has said many, many times that these are intended to be longer term, except one that is now a short term, and the applicant is leaning towards making that long-term rental as well. These are things that have been discussed at a lot of meetings, and I just wanted to clarify those. And the Airbnb thing, again, that it's, that's not an issue of the applicant, that's an issue of poor city regulation.
Yeah.
I would just like people to turn in hardship statements to actually be truthful in them, and that's the whole purpose, is for us to be able to consider when somebody is really having a hardship, and not just some way to increase their income after they've already purchased a property.
Eric?
No additional question.
And just again, the parking Airbnb and like the trash, those are all annoying issues, but I don't think they have anything to do with the variances necessarily, and those are issues that the city should be dealing with separately from what we're talking about here.
Okay, that concludes commissioner discussion. So the applicant, if you want to step up, you have 3 minutes, whoever's speaking, to try to answer all those questions, or as many as you can.
I'll speak on behalf. I'm actually the applicant owner. I'm the owner, investor of the property. As he said, I've been here a few times. So let me be clear about the Airbnb. Oh, first of all, there will be 4 individual units, 4 rental units. 2 in the front, 2 in the back. 2 on one parcel, 2 on another parcel. The Airbnb has been a huge diversion. Airbnb has really never came out of my mouth. It came out of everyone else's mouth but mine. So to be clear, these will not be Airbnbs. I am an investor. I understand the market that we're in. Airbnb is a saturated market right now. It's not even wise for me to make it an Airbnb. It's in my best interest to utilize it as a long-term rental. So Airbnbs never came out of my mouth. I had to address it. They will not be Airbnbs. What I will say is, to go further about the Airbnb situation, prior to me coming to this committee, I had these properties rented out prior. So one was already an Airbnb. And due to me seeing the market and what's going on, I plan to address that, which I've already done as a long-term rental. So that's it about the Airbnb. Now, I'll quickly say something about the so-called waste. If you look in the pictures, we built a retaining wall on each unit. There's no waste in there. There's weeds and maybe gravel and rock, but there's no waste. It's never been any waste. Maybe a day when we were in construction and it was picked up at the end of the day, but there's no waste. In the back alley, is there waste? Possibly. I can't control that. You guys know how these back alleys are. People dump trash all the time. So I don't know where that waste thing came from. And also to speak upon the front landscaping. We ran into winter, which I had spoke upon that. So I decided to wait till spring, this upcoming spring, to attend to the landscaping, which we're gonna do rock. The front yard will be all rock with a flower bed in front of in the direct front of the porch. So that's my plans for the landscaping. And I'll mention this as well to go further with the reason why we didn't do that based on the winter. We also didn't paint the property. The properties are beautiful properties, but they're not painted. That's prime hardy. But since we ran into winter, I'm deciding to paint the properties in the spring. So you haven't even seen the finished product. And there are nice homes as they are, but it's not the finished product. The interior is really nice. That's where people live in. So that's what's important right now. And that's why they are now rented out. So,
Your time, sir.
huh?
That's 3 minutes.
Is it left 3 minutes? Okay. Can I, 30 more seconds, 10 more seconds?
Yeah, a couple more.
Okay, parking.
Yeah.
So parking, this was a condemned property. The property was trashed. The owner owned this property for 20 years, and the parking in the back it's never been parking. So it's actually a plus that we're gonna have parking there because it's never been parking in 20 years. And on top of that, it's a 1-bedroom unit, which hopefully, I mean, if we get the people in that we want, you possibly use one of those garages for someone in the front. Cars are kind of, close to being obsolete. A lot of people use bikes and, their walk. So the person that's inside the unit may only use one garage. So it's a plus. It may be another garage for the front unit. That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. That concludes the discussion and ready for commissioner vote.
Okay, one moment, please.
Go slow. We appreciate you taking that, Sheriff.
Oh, man. Okay, hang on a moment. Everybody take a powder. Ah. Good. Okay, I'm gonna call the vote. Dyer?
Yes.
East, yes. Gabus?
Yes.
Gallagher?
No.
Garland? Not good. Yes. Golding?
No.
Grado?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Kelmeyer?
Yes.
McDevitt, not in attendance. McKinley?
Yes.
Moore or Saunders? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
No, you're good. Yes.
Pangrace?
Yes.
Sellers?
Yes. I'll do the vote.
Sublette?
Yes.
You asked Seller.
Yes.
Say yes, I'm sorry. Waldron?
Yes.
Wildman? Christine? And Leslie Williams?
Yes.
Okay, final tally.
Did you abstain? I'll abstain.
Oh, Tom Leaves, I have that, Tom.
Okay.
We have a vote of 14 yes, 2 no, 1 abstention, and 1 not present. Motion passes.
There's 14, 2, and 1.
14, 2, and 1, yes, sir. That's right.
All this back?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have to go to approval for. I would imagine.
I have to sign to your archive. Too bad you can't give another presentation. If you don't want to keep missing, I don't.
No, I'm sorry. What's the name?
Yes, yeah, so
It's still so.
Yeah.
That's close. You had some that was variances.
Gentlemen, can I ask you to pause before you get started? I just
The AV view slide thing is.
Oh, yeah. It has to warm up, probably.
Yeah, it's just warming
Could
up
you
now.
push
I
the
hear the
power?
fans. Yeah. The fan's on, it's just warming up.
Oh, okay. That's coming.
So that's just.
Okay, this, are you guys about ready there?
Mr. East was asking for a couple minutes to conclude.
Yeah, I realize that, but I was gonna.
I'm ready though, when everybody is.
This is variance for 1728 North High Street. David Hodge is the applicant's spokesperson. And whenever Eric's ready, come on, please. Katie, you believe it.
This is 1728 North High Street, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Apologize.
Yes.
Okay, I'm good. We're good to go. Thank you. Yeah. Right. Yes, we're ready to go. Thank you for your patience. I apologize.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, great. Thank you. So,
Yeah.
oh, you want to do?
Well, yeah, I guess, it's, well, it's not really much to say that, yeah, you can just go ahead.
Well, I know one of the things that you probably would have at least, well, first of all, hello, everybody. My name's David Hodge. Somewhat of a frequent flyer here at the University Area Commission, though it has been some time since I've been here. Not to put any words in your mouth, Mr. Golding, but one of the things that you mentioned on the previous case was the vote at the zoning committee for that case, I think. And
That's the report.
That's that report.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So the property that we're here to talk about is shown here on the screen. This is the southeast corner of High and 13th. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Midway there at the corner, and then Ethel and Tank further to the east. So we're here to talk about those two properties, but predominantly the center space, which says proposed event space. We have filed a BZA application to make use of that parking lot there in the center of the property. And as we go over some of these images, initially I'll circle back to exactly what the variances are, but want to give everybody a thorough understanding of exactly what this proposal is and what's being requested. So again, this is the space we're talking about. The upper left-hand corner is sort of an aerial photograph. Shows Midway there on the right side, the parking lot there in the middle, Ethel and Tank on the left. Upper right-hand corner is taken from 13th looking down into the existing parking lot and the buildings as they presently exist. Bottom right-hand corner is looking down 13th towards High at Ethel and Tank with the landscaping in front of it, the patio, looking back kind of across to the Student Union there at Midway. And then the bottom left-hand is taken from High Street looking east down 13th there at Midway and Ethel and Tank. So the proposal is to go from that parking lot that you see there, upper right-hand corner, and introduce this new facility into the middle. This is been through a pretty rigorous process with the Impact District Review Board that you guys have some overlap with in terms of zoning oversight. That process is ongoing, but it has been well received by the review board. They have a meeting coming up later this month that they're fully submitted for. The review board has tentatively weighed in on the variance requests and has indicated support for the variance requests that you all are hearing tonight. So obviously it's a vacant parking lot now. The idea is to come in, fill that space in, create a new patio. That's a permanent roof on the top. Sort of the second level at the patio, those are vinyl, removable, sort of roll-up facilities so that this can be sort of seasonally used, where in the warm weather months that can be opened. Some more views of this. This is looking down at it from 13th, dead on it from 13th, Ethel and Tank. what's being proposed there, which is sort of an improvement to the patio, not a lot of radical improvements there, but an improvement to the patio, some additional landscaping out front, looking down Ethel and Tank 13th and High, and the bird's eye view site plan. And we'll spend a little more time on this as we walk through exactly what the variance requests are. So there are 5 variance requests. The first is the minimum number of bike parking spaces. The code says that there have to be 10 for this square footage. We have requested 0 bike parking spaces be provided. The zoning committee recommendation sent us on here and through the process with a condition that bike parking be accommodated. I've reached out to the city traffic management staff and asked them if we can make use of sort of the plaza area that's public right of way where 13th dead ends into High Street. So we aim to provide the bike parking, just not provide it on the site, provide it out in the public right of way where everybody that's riding bikes over here has access, not just people that are making use of the block, which they call the middle, Midway or Ethel and Tank. The next is parking spaces. This project has been through the zoning process many times in the past. It's already the subject of a pretty significant parking reduction. This final element with the block fill-in would take up all of the off-street parking spaces. So the parking reduction goes from 96 required for all of this space to 0. We all know that the University neighborhood is the most pedestrian-oriented neighborhood in all of the city of Columbus, and people that are using these facilities are walking there. Some might be biking there. Lots of them are riding scooters there. If you've been by there recently, there are a bunch of scooters out in that plaza area. So that is the parking reduction. We have loading spaces. The code says with this square footage, you have to have a loading space. So we're requesting not to have a loading space. The loading space here would act like any of the other loading spaces for any of the other commercial up through the Short North and High Street. The loading is going to happen here either from Pearl Alley to the east, 13th, or even as many do in Short North from High during off-peak times. We have dumpster area, and that's kind of the lower right-hand corner of the screen. A dumpster is required by the city code to be enclosed on 4 sides. Currently, the dumpsters here are not enclosed at all. So we are proposing to do a wing wall off of the alley there where that green line is to actually create a screen, but it's not going to be the 4-sided screen. Those dumpsters are going to be back there. They're going to be screened, and during the service hours, whoever has that is awesome. Those can be wheeled out into the alley for service. Man, this Mr. McKinley saved my life tonight. So those dumpsters would be wheeled out to the alley and served and then wheeled back into the enclosure. And last, we have vision clearance. Vision clearance is, how's it work?
Oh, sorry. You're not going to the airport later, are you?
The vision clearance is right at this intersection. The city code says you have to provide a vision clearance triangle here so that you can see motorists coming both ways. The interesting thing about that is that Pearl Alley is one way this direction, so getting into the clear vision triangle there does not block any of the visibility whatsoever. Now, to prove that I am a good listener, I want to talk about some of the items that came up. How am I doing on time?
You got 5 seconds.
Oh. I'll talk about it at the rebuttal.
Okay. The zoning committee report, we heard pretty much the same presentation. The actual vote was to approve, 4 yes, 1 no, and 1 abstention. Two commissioners said they were voting yes to move it to the full commission, which I'm not real sure what that meant. But anyhow, that's the report of what happened. It was approved by the zoning committee. Let's see here. We Is there anyone that has come in since I asked if there's any speakers earlier that would like to speak pro or con? Doesn't appear so. So with that, we're going to go to commission discussion and start with you again, Michael.
I guess lots of questions. How big is it? How many patrons is it going to hold? Like at once? It looks like it's 2-floor. It's an event space, so there's going to be music, I take it. How many stages? It looks like while it is enclosed, it's fairly airy, and that noise may bleed out of the building. So I guess I'm concerned with that because we already get complaints about Midway. I guess that's it for now.
Kevin?
I don't think I have a comment right now.
I guess my comment would be with it being used for an event space and assuming that people may be driving cars, where would their parking location be at? Would it be taking up the street parking instead? Now we have an influx of people that are coming to the event that are taking up street parking for other purposes. So that's what I would think.
I'm glad that the developer is looking into getting some more public bike parking, because that definitely is a high bicycling, high scooter area right across the Union. I am confused as to the parking spaces from the pictures, and then I looked it up on Google Maps. The parking lot that's currently there looks like it has maybe 8 spots. So I'm confused as to how somehow the current zoning has 96. And there is definitely not even 12 that is currently in that parking area. I'm assuming it must be because the other buildings attached to it are also.
Steve?
Well, I'm just interested. It seems like every other month we get noise complaints about Midway. And so we're talking about increasing the capacity so that there can be more noise. And that is probably not a zoning issue, but I think it needs to enter into our deliberations. Maybe they've cleaned up their act. I don't know. You can probably answer that, David.
I'm going to bag on 2 comments. I've heard one parking, because with this.
Could you speak up, please?
I'm going to bag on parking, because with this new attraction, and there not being actual parking for that, where will these park? You know, is it off-street parking, or are they going to utilize the parking garages? And again, notice if there are already complaints about noise nuisance from one location, you're adding in something that's going to generate more, which is going to create more complaints. So that's my concern.
Jeremy?
None right now.
I was part of the zoning committee that heard Mr. Hodges' presentation. I'm sort of torn on this one because it is like an attractively designed nuisance. But according to the city attorney that I did chat with, there are no outstanding code problems that in any way would impede holding up the project. All of them have been resolved, and at least as far as the city attorney is concerned.
Yep.
My question involves noise, but I'm not referring back to anything in the past, but in fact to the 2 statements in the text of the application saying that the fabric ceiling and the vinyl roll-up curtain and the new structure in general will mitigate noise. It's the question I asked at zoning committee. In terms of these unconventional materials, do we have any information on what their noise reduction quality is? And And also, of course, the issue of, obviously, the curtain can be rolled up, so eliminating that on one side, that kind of noise buffering. So my question is how does the statements that this will mitigate noise, how does that jive with the materials being used?
I abstained at the zoning committee meeting because I wanted to go to the site and better understand what I knew and what was being proposed. And at this point in time, I'm against the project, primarily because of the what we as a commission and the design review board did when we allowed them to remodel into effluent tank. There was that large landscaped area that was put out front because we were very concerned about the noise component, that the noise that would be generated to the housing stock that was just the width of the alley across the way. So we wanted to still allow them to have exterior patio area, but not the opportunity to turn it into what is typically done on High Street in front of Midway, which exceeds the code density with the packing of people there. So that would help eliminate the noise. So if in fact this does pass, I would not support that other patio area, but I do not support this project.
Okay, Tom? The past is a concern, what is being proposed now, and that was the noise. You can hear the noise anywhere from the shoulder all the way up to Cook Road, where planes are coming in from Clinton, from the non-music comes out of this place. So you have a solid building here, it's glass. What we heard is, like you said, a rollback curtain, which you know is going to get rolled back most of the time during warm weather. I'm pretty sure you said your windows are removable, and if they are, they're going to be removed all the time, just so the noise can get up and out. The fact that it's mostly a glass structure means people from the street can still see in on what's going on, and if anyone's ever been down to Midway during when it was hopping, there are so many teenagers out in the parking lot area, just kind of hanging out in that area. And what resulted as the result of that was a lot of violence in the wee hours in the morning. So you have a lot of things going on in Midway. It wasn't just the noise, it was the amount of violence that happened in the area. So I want to know if this building is going to mitigate that, and whether this developer is going to address finally the kind of clientele that comes to this place and causes violence.
Yeah, I am very concerned on that we would be like adding another third more space for noise to spew out very loudly, which it has for years. If it's cleaned up, well, that's a shocker. The applicant said that their noise professionals said it could never be heard in Clintonville. My wife and I were walking in Union Cemetery, which we do, and I heard this noise, and I thought it was over OSU's property adjacent. I got in my car, I drove down, and it was Midway. So I guess I just dreamed it. It is on the water, Tangi. Sound goes on the water, and I'm quite certain all of those Clintonville complaints it was Midway.
Nothing.
My comment is if they're going to use city property to park their bicycles on, and where they're going to park the scooters, since they were complaining about, or mentioning the fact that most people are coming on bikes and scooters, a few bikes on that corner are going to really take care of that. And I wonder what they were doing with that space in between the Midway and Ethel tanks, you know, was that used as parking, or what particularly were they using it for?
Eric?
I just have a question for some of the senior commission members. Does the city have a policy on beer gardens, and would this be considered a beer garden in that respect? As far as, you know, an exterior drinking area, fenced off, a la carte stuff, is this considered that, a beer garden, or is it considered something other? That's my main question, because that might address some of the noise concerns and some of the regulations.
All right.
I can't get on board with reducing the bike parking. Reducing the car parking for businesses doesn't actually reduce the number of people who are going to be driving, whether or not they're drunk. It's just going to push them into neighborhoods, providing access for other means of transportation to get there, could reduce driving. So I would like to see not only the public bike parking, but on-site parking for any property, commercial property that's going to be reducing their car parking.
Okay, that's round one. Second round, Michael.
I mean, I'm kind of with Doreen. It looks pretty, but I don't. Yeah, just I still want to know what it's going to be used for. You know, is it just going to be another bar? So now they're going to have 3, or is it going to be actually events, like the name said, as in bands? I think that's it.
I have a question about the use as well. Is it going to be something that's open daily? Is it going to be something like for weddings? I mean, I don't think it's a likely place for weddings, but, but I guess my point is it a tentacle of the businesses that are already there, or is it going to be used less frequently and for one-off events? And then on the question of parking, I mean, there are 2 big parking garages at the Ohio Union. So I don't have a problem reducing parking anyway, but there is parking there. But I agree, if you're gonna do bike parking, I'd love to see it double on the city, the public side, if you can.
Is that it?
Yes, yeah.
My comments would be the same thing as the question if the use would be in continuous use with the bar and the event space being used at the same time, and also the event space being built, is the patio being increased along with the event space being built, and will that all be used simultaneously at the same time too?
Okay. Richmond?
I will also echo their comments or question about the event space. Additionally, you know, what I was looking at when I was seeing it, it looked like there were maybe like 8 parking spots currently in this space where the proposed site is, maybe 10, but it was a very small lot from the bird's eye view from what I was seeing. There are a lot of parking spaces right across the street. There's 2 at the Ohio Union. There's additionally 1 more up the street at Arts Garage. My biggest concern about that is especially at the Tank Midway, a lot of people from students from OSU were going there to drink, and then they're also crossing High Street, was especially at nights and at that particular location is very dangerous for a lot of pedestrians. That's outside of the commentary on this, so this is maybe just a comment about the situation where that is and how that works with. And that works.
Okay, Steve? Go on.
I'm going to echo the same thing as far as parking. And followed up also, interest being also was down for saying if that was a business, or if that was their parking lot, you guys would take that. So where the other businesses park as well. adjacent to property, residential areas seem to be a problem because of the development, so. That's it.
Dave? I'm good. Jeremy?
I think the application itself does a pretty good job of spelling out the parking variance request and the history of parking variances there. So perhaps Mr. Hodge can refer back to that quickly. I think it feels disingenuous, though, to say that adding a third structure is somehow going to reduce noise. It just, that's completely at odds with like reality to me. So I have, like Doreen, I have no problem with the design. I think it's nice. I think it's much better than a parking lot. And to all those commissioners that have said, we continually get complaints, it's been a while since I've heard anything about midway noise. But I would like to hear, how adding a third event center is actually gonna reduce noise.
Doreen?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. Tim?
Nothing additional.
Squally?
The biggest issue has been noise over the last few years, and I think the only structure I could ever approve that fills the space is a soundproof, solid structure that makes sure that the noise stays in and doesn't billow out, and the noise gets worse the further you get away from the university district. And I just see this new design construction, the way it was discussed by this gentleman, is everything's removable. Everything can move. The windows can move, the vinyl curtains can move, which means noise will still be there. So this is not the right structure for this spot.
Okay, with me, Squally during zoning did mention overcrowding, people sitting on it's just seems overcrowded, almost dangerous looking, I'm not sure if it is. The patios would increase, aside from the big addition in the middle, the patios, that's a huge amount of seating there. Parking, I agree with what has been said over there as an event space. That's, we keep cutting parking. I know a lot will be riding scooters and walking, but we've got a huge problem. The applicant said we need some grittiness. Well, I don't know what grittiness means other than, like a bar like back 30 years ago that they got eliminated because they were somewhat problematic. And he also said he was passionate about this project. I was just curious what made him passionate about it. Oh, perfect timing. Good job.
I share some of the queries about the event space. Is it a special event or is it a daily event? I'm a little bit unclear on that. As for the noise, I wonder because in the past it has been, that same space, that parking lot space has been used for some very noisy things, and it does appear to have drifted. It seems to be, I wonder, somebody who knows the science of it more, seems to me with a roof over it, that might prevent some of that, actually, I think you used the term leakage of noise at the meeting. So I do have, a couple of thoughts and questions, but I got to coming.
Okay, Deb?
I just want to agree with everything Michael said and some of the other commissioners about whether this is actually just an expansion of the bar or the specific event space. And again, stress my concern about where the scooters and the bikes and the cars are going to be if we take everything out. And what was in that space before between the two buildings? Thank you.
No question.
I just can't remember if I specifically asked this the first time, but I wasn't clear on whether the public bike parking was actually approved or just if the city was approached about it.
Okay, that would move us on to applicant response. Now, before we start the clock, I hate to say, you only have 3 minutes.
May I have additional time, Chair Golding?
It has to be voted on before the case is taken up, according to our bylaws. That was not voted on prior to that.
So the answer is no.
Understood. Well, I have 3 minutes. I feel that I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage because there was just 15 minutes of discussion. So I'll go fast. It's okay.
Before we start, the bylaws have been this way for years.
And I was provided a copy of the relevant section of bylaw this evening, at the end of the zoning committee meeting by Commissioner Sublette. I don't specifically recall that particular document providing that an extension of time needed to be voted on by the commission in advance of the meeting. But if it does, it does. That's okay.
But if you want time to like categorize what you want to speak,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'll give you time for that.
I understand a rule is a rule. There was a lot, there were a lot of questions, and 3 minutes is nowhere near enough time to answer all of the questions that just got asked in the commissioner dialogue.
It is on the agenda.
Yep.
I mean, it's specifically.
Fair enough. I don't have a crystal ball. I have no way of knowing what kind of dialogue is going to happen by the commissioners in the 2 rounds of voting. So I'll be as quick as I can. Does my time start now? Okay. Several things came up at the zoning committee meeting that I've addressed. Commissioner Uha Sauer talked about lighting. There is a new lighting being created on the block. There is new lighting being created at Ethel, and there is existing lighting at Midway. The street lighting ends at Pearl, so it'd certainly be a city issue to extend lighting from Pearl down to High Street. Lots of discussion at the zoning committee about code enforcement issues. You heard your chair talk about the code enforcement issues, her discussion with the city attorney. I've also discussed with the city attorney. This is part of the effort to bring this property into full compliance. Have they improved their act? Yes, they have. They've engaged a team of very capable architects, a hack attorney to come in and bring this through the process and get this thing done. Another issue that came up was refuse. And unfortunately, Mr. Garland's not here tonight. He was a yes vote. We've increased the capacity of the refuse up to 16 cubic yards. That is shown on the site plan. In terms of noise, the item on the screen, I heard Mr. Sublette loud and clear in a conversation and at the meeting. We sent the site plan over to the noise consultant. That's on the screen. They evaluated the new plan. Right now, this is an open block with a stage with an open party, and so it's loud. When you go enclose that space, by nature, don't take my word for it, take the noise professional's word for it, it's going to minimize that. Mr. Goulding, you cannot hear this in Clintonville. Period, paragraph. The police have said it, the noise consultants have said it, and the environmental court has said it. The notion that there's noise from Midway being heard in Clintonville is poppycock. It's not true, it's wrong.
That's not true.
It is true. Don't take my word for it. Take the noise consultant and the police words for it. In terms of what this space is, let me talk about parking. There is parking across the street at the Student Union, 2 parking garages. Down at the movie theater at Campus Partners, there are parking lots. There's public parking all over the neighborhood. That's what people are going to do. Last, I want to read a statement from the owner of this property related to the event. Our primary goal is to establish a versatile and student-centric environment that primarily caters to student-based organizations and events. The design of the space is intentionally flexible, allowing for a wide range of activities, including events, educational, social gatherings, and so on. We aim to operate 3 to 5 days a week, focusing mainly on event rentals. Additionally, to answer the question, is this a tentacle of Midway and Ethel? The answer is yes. This can be used as overflow space for that. You know, they have parties during home football games, and will those uses bleed into this? I'd be a bald-faced liar if I stood here and said they weren't. It will be, but it's in an enclosed space instead of an open parking lot. I heard the chime. My time is up. Am I passionate about it? Yes. And here's why. What you have there is a parking lot that's had problems in the past. We all know it. What you have now is a proposal to clean that parking lot up, to build that structure, and to put to rest the issues of the past. What you're getting with this proposal, what I said at the zoning committee, is what you're getting with this proposal is better than what you've got there today. This company owns Midway and Ethel and Tank. They ain't going anyplace. It's been tried over and over and over and over by lots and lots and lots of people to buy them. They're not selling. They're here to stay. They want to improve what they've got. This application before you tonight proves that that happens. Why am I passionate about it? I went to college too. When I was a freshman, and I joked about this last time I was here, when I was a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, did I go to bars like this? Absolutely I did. We can't whitewash the entire university experience. Kids that go to school are sometimes going to go to bars. Some kids that go to school are sometimes going to go to bars and drink. They did it 30 years ago. They're going to do it 30 years from now. I hope that you will recommend approval of this request to the BZA.
Okay, with that, we'll go to commission vote.
That time already.
And
Believe it or not, I am.
let us know when you're ready, don't feel rushed.
I'm good to go now.
Okay.
Okay, Dyer.
No.
East, I still was looking for clarification of the beer garden thing. I'm uncertain, I'm gonna abstain. Gabus.
The benefits of this new facility far outweigh any concerns that I have, yes.
Gallagher.
Yes.
Garland, not present. Vote please. Golding.
No.
Rito.
No.
Egley.
No.
Kellmeyer.
Yes.
McDevitt, not in attendance. McKinley.
I agree with Jeremy. I don't think this is probably the best solution, but I think it is better than what is currently there. So yes.
Moore Saunders.
Yes.
Ann Grace.
Yes.
Sellers.
Yes.
I'm sorry, did you say?
Yeah. No.
I did.
Need more time.
You pass for now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Pass for now.
This is an abstention or just a pass for now?
Just pass for now.
Okay.
I just,
We'll get back to
Thank
you.
Sublet.
Yes.
Newhouse Sauer.
I'm going to vote yes because I think the code issues will have to be dealt with if there are future code issues.
Waldron.
Yes.
Wildman.
No.
Williams.
Yes.
And back to Sellers.
if it's gonna make things better, I'm for it. Yes.
Vote for the count.
Hey, Mike, can you get a light?
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Yes, please.
That's what I'm saying.
Did he say the pass yet? I assume he did.
I assume it did.
Okay,
Okay.
vote stands. 11 yes, 5 no, 1 abstention, and 2 not in attendance. Motion passes.
Who abstained?
I did.
Oh,
Thank you all.
Mhm.
See you next time.
11, 5, and 9.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That was it, yeah. This is auspicious occasion. It's not as horrible as it used to be. He is why they changed the zoning code, or the zoning portion, to make it about the them coming back to us over and over and over. We would do that until it happened.
You sent out minutes on comments, would like to.
Yep.
Already.
Good on a couple, again, looking at bringing our bylaws in line with the citywide elections, or working towards that. Looking at ongoing training requirements for currently seated commissioners. Our bylaws currently talk about new commissioners only. We discussed a little bit on rules of engagement with developers and things that, how we might like to approach that. And then the last item was a request for defining what it means to say a point of order. So just for Pasquale's, he's been passionate about making sure we understand that, so I'll read it out. It's defined as when a member thinks that the rules of the assembly are being violated, she or he can make a point of order or raise a question of order, thereby calling upon the chair for a ruling and enforcement of the regular rules. Just to be clear, this takes precedent over any pending questions out of which it may arise, does not require a second, is not debatable or amendable, and cannot be reconsidered. That's the definition of that for as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Was there someone who was going to give a planning committee report, or was there a motion?
I have Katie's, and she actually. This is from Katie McDevitt, included in this template. Trash cans in front of Glencoe Park on Cliffside are intermittently removed by the city. We would like them to be permanent.
Could you speak up?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Trash cans in Hudson are overflowing, many issues with alleys and potholes. Are we doing community concerns with this plan? Excuse me. Forgive me.
Planning, yeah.
Forgive me. That was community concerns. She did not submit anything from planning. Forgive me.
She did send out a email
Yeah.
earlier, so.
Was that everybody?
Yeah.
So we have community concerns with Devin that don't have the plan.
I move that we accept the minutes from the planning committee that were distributed by email to the commission.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you have to speak up. The noise is going straight up.
Now, I move that we accept the minutes of the community planning that were submitted to the commission via email earlier today.
Yeah, but there's no reason to
Yeah.
do that.
We don't do that.
Accept the minutes, we all.
Well, you were saying we needed to do something about the, I was trying to do the systems.
Okay, we need to do something.
I thought you said we needed to do something since Katie wasn't here.
No, I thought there was a motion coming out of the planning committee that was to support the MEAC proposal for more located.
Oh, that is a plan.
But that is still
Yes.
ongoing.
She was gonna draft it for our next meeting.
I have that here. I actually have printed copies of DX proposals. I did go to them, I made it up for everybody. I did go to DX full commission meeting, and they welcomed, me as a representative of this commission warmly. And I said that we would like to draft a statement of support for their efforts to get the city to clarify their Airbnb code. At that point, their secretary shared with me one, and I can share this with everybody, I did make copies. This is, I do have a printout of the PowerPoint that they shared with us. I've got extra copies of that. They do have a subcommittee formed on this, and they would welcome us at that subcommittee, representatives from us to sit there. They said Far East Area Commission has already voiced their support as well after they visited them. So they're trying to basically form a subcommittee that houses members of different area commissions around town on that. If anybody's interested, I have a copy of that PowerPoint which summarizes their proposal. And then I have the actual language of their SDR proposals here as well. I can share those with anybody interested in sitting on that.
Eric, do you have enough copies for everyone?
I do not, because I figured that not everybody would be interested, but anybody interested in maybe looking into the subcommittee. I can,
Actually, I think one way we can deal with this pretty efficiently would be if it's possible to get that electronically. from
yes,
Dan.
their secretary sent it to me, I
And
have it
then
electronic, I can send it to you.
Between now and the December planning meeting, if that can be sent out to everybody, that would be great, because then everybody will be informed of planning and make a formal motion to bring to us in the December meeting.
Yes, but I did tell them that we
We're not
can.
under any time constraint, but I've understood, yeah, for anything here.
No, they're ongoing, and I think the only time constraint we're under is that I said to them that we were going to put the motion before us at our December meeting. And they were very glad to hear that. I can send out a digital copy of all of these materials, but for the sake of the poor trees who sacrificed themselves for this, if you're interested, please take a paper copy.
Thank you for going to that meeting and making that contact, and thank you for going to the community leaders meeting along with Seth the other night too. I appreciate that.
UACs represent.
Doreen?
Community
Doreen?
relations, Michael?
Sorry, can
I'm
I?
sorry.
Planning committee also made a vote on the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit support on Neil. And we were gonna bring it to the full committee. I'm sure we can wait with Katie not
The
here.
thing is we don't have that motion actually in writing, which is what.
Right,
we should
right.
have. And since we've since found out that NEAC is still in process, we're not behind any time constraint. And that will give everybody a chance to look through it if that's.
I'm talking about not the Near East Side's Airbnb, but the 25.
Yeah, in Dennison Place, the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit on the 5 spaces. I don't think we actually voted on that, though, did we?
We did.
Oh, did we?
did,
Oh,
and
okay.
You said you were going to just, well, say this was a good reason to put that one off too.
Yeah.
I think that, if I remember correctly, there was a great deal of debate about whether or not there was additional things we wanted to put. And then we decided that it was their motion to essentially originally propose it. And in all fairness, we should be supporting that. And then if there's something later we wish to add, we can add. Does that make sense?
I believe that's what we all agreed on.
And thank you for bringing this up. So if it's all right with you, I will pull that together for, and then we'll be all ready by the end of the year to get these off in the right direction. Okay? Does that sound like
Great.
it?
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up. I forgot there were 2 separate motions or a possibility of them. Michael, do you
Sure.
would like to report on anything?
Sure, yes. Community Relations Committee, basically still website. We were going to take a holiday photo tonight, but unfortunately, it was kind of busy here earlier. But I think hopefully Jill can still take individual photos.
I could take a holiday photo, I don't think I can stay.
Oh,
So when Katie came, I was texting with her and one suggestion, because Katie came, she just came.
yeah, I saw
and
her.
then it was-
Yeah.
But a suggestion she had was let's take a photo at the holiday party and make it like a New Year's
Then we,
card or something.
oh. Yeah, we could do it that way. Okay. Can you start taking photos now? Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna have to split this.
Okay. So I heard from Juliana, she wants to meet for the, discuss the website. So I think I'm going to meet with her next week and talk about the actual graphic changes on the website. And then we can kind of use dummy copy, because I don't think she really needs to place all the copy. We can work that out and do that ourselves, since that's going to be easier. We went through at the meeting, we went through the website page by page, pretty much talked about each page. There are a lot of questions and discussion on the zoning pages, and particularly the list of projects, as well as the concern page, because there's a map on the website with university district concerns that people can add, like where they want a crosswalk, where they kind of what they we've already started on the planning committee, only this is for everybody. So there was a lot of questions on that. So what I'm going to do, I think, is look over the zoning text, send it out to the zoning committee, have them look at it, review it, and get it back to me, and then talk to Juliana next week and get her rolling on all the actual graphic changes for it, and then keep working on the copy as we go, because I'm sure it'll be changing as people look at it. I think that's it.
Board of Elections report?
Yes, so we met on Monday, November 6th to certify the results of the election, which was held on Saturday, November 4th. And those results are: in District 1, Jillian Dyer won her 3-year term with 4 votes. District 2, Seth Golding won a 3-year term with 9 votes. Eric East won a 2-year term with 7 votes. In District 3, Demetrius Moore Saunders won a 3-year term. I think you might have, I don't know if you realize that the voter who gets the most votes gets the longer term. And since there was nobody sitting in, there was no other person up for election in District 3.
I don't teach that.
Have gotten a 3-year seat. And then
Sorry, how many did Demetrius get?
2. Yeah. None of the elections were competitive. They were all single candidates.
Only you have to vote.
And I had to plead with Demetrius to show up to vote for himself. In District 4, Timothy Sublette won a 3-year term with 2 votes. So Pasquale made a move to approve the certification of the votes. Doreen seconded, and all present voted yes. So the motion passed 4-0 at our.
I just want to ask Demetrius, was it a tough decision?
So we will be able to announce the other opening in January, am I right? Actually, in December, we can announce it, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know if we can technically notify in advance, but there will be an empty seat in District 3 in January.
And I think the secretary should know that obviously the constituency of all of you is very satisfied with what we do. And it's the only way I can explain it though. I have no speaker slips for public comment and announcements, so it's with 2 district concerns, and we've started with Michael, so let's keep going with Michael.
Are you going to talk about, are you going to talk about Ninth and High at all? I guess I don't. I went to a meeting with Doreen and folks about Ninth and High, which is in District 4. There's going to be a huge honking thing there. We don't know what it is, but 500,000 square feet of stuff. But okay.
Yeah, I just want to mention a few upticks in break-ins. I know the Sohut Collective bus was broken into just the other day, and there's just been a rash of car windows breaking, people getting into houses via open windows in the district, and so just want to raise the alarm a little bit.
They're being reported and they are being reported.
That's right, yeah.
Thank you. Demetrius?
I don't have anything today.
Demetrius, don't you have a performance coming up, or did I miss it?
No, it already came up. So, but I would say I have another one January 20th and 21st. It's a play called Prodigal Father. I'll be playing the youngest son, and it's based off the Bible version, except for modernized, and you get to see the son's downfall. So it's funny but emotional play at the same time. So I'll send that in the email.
We still have an opportunity.
Yeah, send that out.
Yeah, I'll definitely send it out.
Yeah,
What was that?
He's gonna send it out.
Where will that? It'll be at the Lincoln Theater.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
Nice.
I'll send it out in the email and
Please do.
get you guys updated. So yeah.
Benjamin.
So I did want to let everybody know my appointment ends this year. So in January, the president of CGS is going to be taking over the appointment, Jorge Cavasabasso. He already lives in the district. I believe he lives in District 2. and is already very interested, and excited to get started. So I think he'll be a great addition, especially since he lives in the district. And so having that, yeah.
Sorry, you spell his last name.
I can send it in an email because I don't know how to spell it off the top of my head.
I don't think it's gonna fit on a plaque, so we're gonna get someone different.
Hold on, guys, let's keep moving here. So we lose you in January, but you'll be at the January meeting for quorum, and we'll have a formal goodbye for you with a plaque.
Sure, yes. Yes. Is it January? I thought it was December.
Well, December ends, but on January, we ask both old and new to come to that
Yes.
first meeting.
Yes.
That will be our loss, certainly.
I mean, I definitely think it's a great gain. Jorge is very invested into OSU. He's on his second year of his PhD, so he still has a long tenure both at CGS, at the university, and then hopefully here as well. Since he's already living in the district, has been since he was an undergrad, and is very interested and invested in a lot of local things. So that was just kind of my mind there.
What is he studying?
He, I think he has.
His PhD is in German, isn't it? Germanic language.
I think it's Germanic language, yes.
That means brush up your German.
Yeah.
Feel good. Steve, any announcements?
Nope.
Go on.
Construction. I'm about fed up with it.
Can you speak up?
Construction. I'm about fed up with it. Cortland needs better lighting. I want to also see if I can try to get some trash cans over there because it's a waste land, like literally. People walk their dogs with or without a leash, no bags, and it's just piles everywhere. Traffic is clustered because of the road closure on 7th Avenue. So I still opt for that street to be designed as a one-way to some kind of magnitude, whether it be north or south, but it needs to be one direction. Better crosswalks. The school crosswalks are fine. A little touch up here and there, but throughout the community, we would like to have better crosswalks. We want to keep promoting not jaywalking, even though kids will still be half a block away from a crosswalk and still jaywalk. I don't get the logic with that, but also better lighting throughout the alleys and the streets. We do have 2 properties that are on the corner, well, actually between the corners of 7th and 8th Avenue. I believe the gentleman was at one of the meetings here about, he had a proposal for the projects, and they're pretty much almost done with it. But other than that, those are my only concerns throughout District 3 right now.
Thank you. David?
Not a district concern, but just a reminder that we have an executive committee meeting tonight, which is all of the officers and committee chairs.
And it will be brief. I have a quick announcement from Nora, and that was that more details to follow, but the district was given permission to have an additional pocket park somewhere in the district. But we have no other details. She was just informed that that was being granted to us.
A what?
Pocket.
A pocket park.
Oh.
Really? Yeah, since the city doesn't generally fund pocket parks and create new ones, this will be interesting. She was ill tonight, and that was just the briefest detail that she had. I also want to clarify that after our December meeting, which we will try to have an abbreviated agenda, we will adjourn to having some libations somewhere. That's for the area commission, obviously. But UDO, UCBA will probably be planning a January party, so it's interesting to think about a card going out, which is more of a looking forward rather than backward. I think that would be a lovely touch to send out. But it's one of those issues too where we never, and it's something I think the area commission needs to think about for a January agenda, is UDO just went full ahead with a lot of different plans and picking up things, but we never really had that retreat we were hoping for as a board about what we learned from Be Well and how we could go forward. And if you remember, when we did all the Be Well surveys, that was one of the things that we had talked about as a commission, was having some kind of discussion in which we could do the same thing, really look at those, plow into those comments a lot more. I don't know if that could be a combined retreat for both, the UDO with commissioners kind of there. There are, of course, sunshine laws and public comment and whatnot, so we're not looking for a private meeting of any sort. But I think we need to figure out a way we want to try to explore that and give ourselves times for discussion in which others could be here. Which brings us to last Monday's meeting, or previous meeting, which was actually a public announcement that anyone could come who gets our email, and area commission zoning chairs and any area commissioner. We met with the two new developers of the Highland properties, the home team that are looking at a 9th Avenue and High Street development, but wanted to hear what neighbors had to say about development in general and what they would like to see. And I know that there were a lot of you that were in attendance, and thank you for that. There will be another follow-up to that, which will just be an informal conversation, but also a public meeting, so you'll all hear about that if you wanted to join in on that and be able to exchange ideas. The only other thing I can say is I have been trying to get a clarification, and maybe David, you could help with this one, from the city and from Michael Huggins about those of us who received the 90-gallon containers that had the letter then attached to it that said, you need to roll this out at a certain time, and by 2 o'clock you need to roll it back. What happens if they aren't rolled back? And in some cases, we're seeing in alleys, not just mine, but many alleys, that they're out for 2, 3, 4 weeks. The lids aren't closed, nobody rolled it anywhere. But is that a 311 for us? Because technically, if it's a violation, that should in some way be dealt with by the city. And it's not clear to me, although Michael Huggins sent me an email and said that that is usually taken care of by, I swear to God, this is the worst name for any city employee, the solid waste inspector. Hoping some poor city employee is not going out with, solid waste inspector on his shirt to try to write these up. So if you can bring us any clarification, not everybody in the district probably has that issue, but it would help us to understand that as a code problem.
Judy, could I get something? Because the other issue is the streets that aren't serviced by alleys, and those containers stay out.
Well, and that's part of that, exactly the same thing, because they need to pull that by their house.
Right.
And they don't. And so I've talked to Rochelle about that. It is a landlord issue. There's a lot of education going out. But, we have a variety of landlords who are from single landlord properties to the larger companies who are definitely more compliant because they get the word out. So, I think you need that's all.
Yeah, I have a neighbor who I think he was gonna get a speaker slip. He lives between myself and Mike LeMay. And he's, we have the plasma center, which has always been a problem. We've taken them down over the years, addressed the issues with that. And you have CVS, and a lot of plasma people steal constantly from CVS. And then we had this is what made it even worse. Someone who was selling drugs basically to all the homeless, which brought a whole lot more homeless to Portal Park and et cetera.
This is
Well,
a property on East Avenue, right?
yeah, and so it's gotten really bad. He lives on the east, in between, he's really been upset. He's done a lot to, try to stop. Well, they pretty much got the drug guy, and what's his name? John Brown was very helpful, but anyhow, he was going to be, and I just want to, hopefully it'll die back down, but there are real concerns with the plasma and CVS, and I told him and a couple others, like, hey, if they got special duty, they could stop the problem. They've locked up all the expensive stuff, and if they lose some pop and candy, it's a lot cheaper than hiring special duty. So
I've been in on the emails, and I should let you know that I've sort of checked out a lot of these things, and there might be another course of action, and I think it was all coming today, so I hadn't had a chance to talk to you.
Coming from him.
from a number of ways, from people of the city. A lot of this
Oh.
information suddenly started coming
Oh,
out last night. So
I
I
haven't
haven't
seen it.
communicated with you just because I haven't had a chance to.
Yeah, so he's sort of, you know, and he lived right across from the,
There are.
as did I.
I don't mean to, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but I have also known that right now, I believe the city has, and maybe David, that's something you can tell me later, you know, the city in some ways has been looking at enforcement, police enforcement, as opposed to what SID people can do as security or trespassing or downtown SID, or any SID, or any security officer who's hired, who is not a regular CPD police person on special duty. So it may be that there are some adjustments that are being made at the city as to how to do some of the enforcement of things. So we probably need to all talk about this in a little larger way.
Yeah, I just wanted to put it on record that the three, yeah, it's been pretty bad, you know. I think he thinks that I have a magic wand as a commissioner.
No, it's complicated by evictions and the person who had a felony and the eviction.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
but thank you.
no, it's not Michael May, it's another neighbor.
Yeah, let's not talk about names though.
Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah, I get a call today about noise from bars, music kind of blasting out into the night. And do we have any idea where city council is on a noise ordinance? Wasn't there a meeting a couple of months ago? I mean, this seems to be.
That was one that I asked probably right after the noise ordinance was passed to inform us about enforcement and about not just the property lines, but since firecrackers, for instance, are owned by the city, how do you possibly even report that to have it enforced? And for us, in our neighborhood, where Deb and I live in that area, we have people who are assigned there as who live in apartments and they're former vets with PTSD. And that is a terrible combination of people having to live with fireworks. So we're up in the air. We have not heard anything.
So there actually is an ordinance passed?
They're actually living in
Okay.
apartments that in part is because an agency places them there because they were formulated with the armed services. You know, they have a discharge, but they're put in a neighborhood in which there are a number of issues about noise that would severely impact them. It's the same question, not the same question, but I have to, in full disclosure, tell you, it's also a very gray area for me. We have so many homes of housing for people with sexual abuse, whether it was domestic, whether it was predator, whether it was child-oriented. And of course, there are some university towns that actually look at college-age kids as being as vulnerable as if they would be high school, where they're living in a neighborhood where there are sexual predators, and they forbid them in certain areas. But the question I had, which was not directed to move any sexual predators around, not change household, is that as we are getting more families in with children and they are renting, I don't know where the responsibility of the landlord is, or if there's a responsibility from the people who essentially monitor the homes for sexual predators to include these people on a list. I mean, I think we all, if you live in a certain area, you get notices on a regular basis of somebody who's living in your neighborhood.
I'm a little confused because I was asking a question about loud noise in bars and
so
the
that's
noise
what-
ordinance.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There are all these things that we can't get answers on. I can't.
Okay, but there was an ordinance passed, but there's
Yeah.
nothing, I mean, obviously.
No, we did talk about it here, but it was not to go forward before the date that was given. Initially, city council felt that they would not be able to pass it in time before they went on recess in August, and then we did. And there were individuals I know in neighborhoods who wrote in with the very same question you're asking. And there's been no communication.
Yeah, and, okay. guess I'd like to see a copy of that, because I guess there's, I mean.
Yeah, I did, I sent that out, in fact, I had downloaded and sent it out already, printed out, so, but it would have been before the August recess. But there was very small time.
Okay, yeah, and the person I heard from has actually been researching noise ordinance in other cities around the country, and is going to put together a little summary. And this is somebody who follows the news pretty closely and certainly wasn't aware there's been anything passed. And whatever was done was not very serious, obviously.
There were things that passed by, the slip tricks, the cup and the lip, as they used to say. Deb, anything you want to report in?
No.
Derek?
I just want to report that the homeless camp in Glencoe Park, on the top of Glencoe Park, has been completely cleaned up by the city.
Wait a minute, where is it?
At Glencoe Park, on the northeast corner of it, near the railroad tracks, there was a large homeless encampment that had been evacuated, cleared by the city, and there was trash everywhere, but it's been completely cleaned up. I don't know how they got back in there and did it, but they did it, so good on the city on that one.
What about the one that's in the ravine directly behind Lucky's?
I don't want my dog down there.
Because that is huge.
Yeah, no, that's a big one, but I just think,
I
the
thought they
Glencoe
got
one I
that.
raised, Swid, when she was here, she said that the city was gonna be there, that when Swid was here, I sought clarification on what's the process. And she said, don't go in there, clean it up. And then she got back to me with an email saying, it's actually slated to have people go in there and get it. And when I went back in there 3 or 4 days later, and by God, the city had gone in and picked up all of the trash. So it's good to see. It's good to see.
And not least, not last, but.
So I saw the email about ADP's utility scam awareness, which was good timing because I had somebody come to my door and I work from home. I will sometimes engage those people to see what they're doing. And this person told me they were a representative of PUCO, which I work with utilities for my job. And I was like, there's no way that's true. So I let her keep talking, and basically she said she was a representative of PUCO and that I live in a low-income area and therefore was qualified for the state subsidized generators provided through the Public Utilities Commission. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I said, oh, that's cool. I'm writing a blog right now for my job. It would be great to see if there's a website about that. And she was very good at sidestepping that. And then she basically she was acting like she was a representative of the state. And then I asked if I could see a contract, and it was Tomorrow Energy. I said, oh, who's that? And she said, oh, it's just the distributor, it's the generator we use that your utilities would go through if you sign up for this. So I said, oh, okay, cool, no thanks, whatever. And she's like, okay, I'll be back tomorrow. So I did file a complaint with the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio. If you guys see these people, please file a complaint because PUCO is who allows them to operate here. And when I Googled it later, I found on Reddit that there are several other cities where they're saying that they are part of the Public Utility Commission. And she mentioned that she knew a lot of students had extremely high electricity bills, and she said that we've saved a lot of them a lot of money. It could be true. They do have cheap rates. I don't know if they're fixed. I didn't read through the full contract. I couldn't see the whole contract because I wasn't signing it. But it sounds like they've gotten a lot of people to sign up, and they're also using that tactic in different states. So it's not just an issue of, oh, we have these third-party door-to-door salespeople. It seems to be a common practice.
Hey, Julian, is the scam that they're calling themselves PUCO, or is being a generator or trying to hook people
So
into?
the scam is pretending to be a representative of PCO. That's super illegal.
Yeah, yeah.
And then also saying that it's a state subsidized program.
Yeah.
Which it's not. It's just a private company.
But somebody could go to door to door and try to get you to
If they.
select them as a generator,
Yes,
correct?
yes, that would be allowed. PICO has said that they can do that.
Okay,
But when I called, they were like, wait, what? They're impersonating us?
Yeah.
So.
thank you.
Use
Just-
false terminology.
Yeah, I mean, it was a straight up lie. Like, it wasn't she wasn't trying to make illusions to make me think, like, she said, I am with the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio. And we have a state subsidized program for people within this area. So it was fully not true. So yeah, just a heads up on that.
So Just Energy shared also, now we're Energy Just.
So, I've not ever had anyone straight up just lie like that.
We have just a few more items.
Actually,
You're fine. Is there anything you wanted to add, Mr.
The last 4 payments they put back in our account were paid to you, Jeremy, 2 checks outstanding to Campus Printing, so I think there's $3 left the city can take back. As far as the way we're gonna operate, they'll reimburse us on receipts. And
You don't have an account.
yeah.
She was.
So I was gonna talk with David now.
I was gonna say, perhaps in December, we could some time for you to begin to explain procedures.
Yeah,
Would that
okay.
be okay?
Yeah. No, I'll give you a call. I can do that.
And then my other question is, I don't know if Katie had a chance to send out minutes, am I right? Or did I just-
Yeah.
So we have no minutes to approve from the previous meeting.
I haven't seen it. Anyone?
Did you get them on Friday?
The general meeting?
All right. Is there anyone else who did not get minutes from the last meeting? I did not get that. Can we postpone that because Katie is actually not here and not any correction onto Eric? And then I'll go back, like she may have sent them out so early that I just went back to how we did it.
She sent them November 10th.
Yeah. Okay.
Happy birthday.
So we will do those minutes, we'll approve the minutes at the next meeting.
That's for October minutes, correct?
All right. I would accept a motion to adjourn.
I so.
Second?
Second.
Is that a second?
Second.
Fighting over the second. All in favor?
Aye. Who's second?
Please
Who's
take
second?
leftovers.
I did.
Are then.
Eric,
I just turned on Asian backwards, so I can't do it.
Come around this way.
Hey, can we wait till people leave? Wait 5 minutes.
Yeah, I sent an email to Swin and copied you about the appointments because there was some, I know like we were changing our bylaws
About 3
to
minutes.
align with the code. But the issue was that at the time of the old bylaws, so we didn't feel comfortable not following our bylaws.
Thank you, sir. Things up to the- One after the
Sure.
Yeah, you should. All right, thank you, sir. Oh, yeah, I
I mean, I prepped the appointment